him too. He's pretty silly because he kind of comes and disappears whenever he wants to. But that's a cool trick if you just disappear and like come back wherever you feel like it. It's pretty cool, right? No? I'm the only weirdo? Okay, that's fine. We'll continue. Okay, now, as you pick up your pencils, you will notice that we are missing something on those pencils, right? What are we missing? We're missing erasers, yes. And the reason why we don't have erasers in this class is because you will find that we have zero use for them. Normally when you draw, you think that you would erase every single line that you make a mistake on. But in the sketching world, we actually don't do that. Here at Animation Academy, we sketch in a way called a rough sketch. And it's all about where you build your characters. You use a lot of very light lines. And as you continue throughout the process, you'll darken in the lines that you feel fit your character best. And we'll be left with a really cool, professional, messy-looking sketch of Cheshire Cat. Does that sound good? Yes. All right. So on your sheet of paper, about the size of an orange or so, let's go ahead and sketch a circle. And you want to use your entire arm as you sketch this, because if you just use your wrist, you're going to restrict your movement, and you'll find that you'll have some more crookeder lines as opposed to smooth ones. And you'll notice that as I'm sketching this out, I'm going really quickly. I don't really want to focus on making this perfect. That's the whole point of a sketch, is to have fun with it and just really be loose. Now with our circle on our page, we can add in some construction lines to help us anchor down his facial features. We're going to start with one straight line. It's going to split our circle into two equal parts. So from the top to the bottom, go ahead and bring a very light straight line right down the middle of your circle. And it's completely okay if those lines extend outside of your circle as well. Now from left to right, I'm going to add in another line. And I'm also going to let that one go outside of my circle. That will help us out in a little bit. Alright, so there's our foundation. Now we can actually get started with the facial features for Cheshire Cat. The first one we like to start off with is usually the nose, because it's right in the center and it helps with anchoring all the other features around it. Now he does have a cat nose, so it's going to be a triangle that's turned upside down, but it's going to have some rounder edges. It won't be completely pointy. So at the top here, I'm going to start by adding in a rainbow shape for the top of the nose. And on either side, I'm going to bring down two more curved lines, and that'll give me that round-looking triangle. It almost resembles a guitar pick or a Dorito chip. Alright, so now with that in place, this is the very first feature that we darken in, or that we darken our favorite lines here. So find your favorite line, make sure this is standing out nice and dark here. And we also want this guy to be able to breathe, so let's go ahead and add in some nostrils here at the bottom. I'm going to add in two little slits on either side. And then I'm going to shade this in with a light shade of gray just to give some contrast to this feature. With the nose in place, we now know where we can place the eyes. The eyes are going to sit on either side of our vertical construction line, and they're going to be two smaller circles, just like the shape that we created for his head here. We're going to add two small ones on either side of our lines. Now, if you have a hard time with these shapes like I do, sometimes it's easier to do curved lines to create them as opposed to just completely carving out a circle. This will basically get the shape on my page, and then I'll wrap around and start carving that out. And I'll do the same thing with the other side. Now these guys will sit pretty close together, but they won't be touching, so keep that in mind. Now with my eyes on my page here, making sure they're the same size, they're the same height. As soon as I'm happy with the shape and the location, I'm going to go back and make sure that I lock these in. Just finding my favorite line on these circles here. Alright, with the eyes locked in, we're going to add in some pupils next. And you have the opportunity to get creative with your sketch. If you want, you can add in swirls, you can add in hearts, stars, anything that you feel would fit best for your character. You can go ahead and place it down there. I'm going to add in some basic circles, though, much like the ones for his eyes. They're going to be a little bit smaller, kind of beady looking, because he's a really interesting character. I'm going to have him sitting right in towards the center here, almost as though he's looking right at you, folks. These are also a separate shape. They're not a half circle sitting in the inside of the larger one here. They're their own shape. They're also the same size, and they're level with one another. Now, after I'm done, I'm going to lock these in, and I want to make sure that I darken these in completely. By making this the darkest feature on your sketch, you're creating a focal point, which is actually just a fancy term for making this the most prominent, or the feature that stands out the most on your sketch. So it's the very first thing that you or your viewers will look at. Now, with the eyes in place in the nose, we need to add in another feature right above those eyes, right? And we get a lot of expression from our eyes, but there's also something else on our face that we get expression from. Do you know what that is? Eyebrows, yeah, they move up and down to show our emotion. Now he's got these as well, so we need to make sure we add in an eyebrow on either side here. I'm going to start with the curved line, sitting right above his eyes. But in order to give some thickness to these eyebrows, I'm going to add in a little rainbow here at the top, which will give them that boomerang type shape. And you can lock these in, and you also want to be able to shade these in with the light shaded gray. You don't want to make them too dark. Just make them so they stand out just a little bit. Now that was a lot of steps. Are we doing okay so far? Yes. Everybody just is really quiet. I cannot get one answer out of them, Leah. All right, normally when I hear no talking whatsoever, you're either really concentrated on your artwork or you're just so speechless because your artwork is so amazing and you don't know what to say. And that's completely okay. That's okay. So in times like these, we usually ask for a thumbs up out there in the audience if you feel like your artwork is exactly how it's going around. You really like, you're happy with it, you're confident about your artwork. Pretty good? Can we see some thumbs up? All right, so quite a few, some of them not so much. That's okay, that's all right. But if you think about it this way, we only have an eye, some eyebrows, and a nose. So we really haven't got really that much into it yet. So don't be too hard on yourselves, all right? But let me ask you one more important question. I'd like to hear an answer out of every single one of you. Are we having fun? Yes. Oh, I think you can do a lot better than that. Are we having fun? Yes. There we go. Yes. Okay. Now, the fact that you're having fun means that you are doing everything 100% correctly. So whether or not you feel your artwork is how it's going right now, you're not really too happy about it, the fact that you're having fun means you're doing everything right, okay? Now, we're going to move on, and we're going to add in a feature for this guy that pretty much takes up the entire face. Can you guess what feature that is? Smile. His smile, yeah. Cheshire cat always has that big smile. Okay, so that smile is so big, in fact, that it doesn't even contain, like the circle does not contain it. It goes outside of this circle here. So we're going to start with these smile lines. And we get these too. You get little creases in the inside of your cheeks when you have a nice big smile. We need to place those down on our sketch first here. So on the outside of our circle, on a horizontal construction line that's sticking outside here, that's where we're going to place those smile lines. Just some tiny rainbows on either side. Now, as for the placement of this large smile, the top portion of his smile is going to sit just inside his circle here. So a little bit down below towards the edge, I'm going to give myself a mark. And that's where the upper portion of that smile is going to sit. Now I'm going to bring a line from the center of each smile line here, and I'm going to bring it all the way down over to my guideline, which is going to create this really big letter U. I'm going to do this into two parts. So I'm going from the center of one smile line over to my guideline, and very lightly I'm sketching out a portion of this smile. And I'll do the same thing on the other side. Now this is just the upper portion of it, and if you guys have a nice big open mouth smile here, we need to add the bottom portion of it too. So I'm giving a little bit of space here right in the center, and on my vertical line, I'm going to give myself another mark. And then I'll do the exact same steps. I'll go from the center of my smile lines here, and bring a curved line all the way down to that guideline I gave myself. Alright, now my lines are very light, so once I have them on my page here, I'm going to go back and make sure I really make these guys stand out. So I'm going to find my favorite line and make sure that I darken those in. Just lock those into place. Now with the smile being so big, it would not be complete without those big pearly whites. He has some large teeth. Now there's a placement to these teeth, okay? So don't just place them anywhere on the mouth. Unless you want to, then you go right ahead. But we do have a specific placement for these guys. We have our vertical construction line here in the center. On either side, I'm going to add in 2 lines. Now from the edge of my circle here down to the smile, I'm going to bring an invisible line down right to that smile, and that's where I'm going to place my next set of teeth. And in between, I'll start filling in the spaces. That'll give me a nice, straight smile. He used to wear braces. All right, so that's in place, and if you want, you can leave him just like that. I mean, how often have we seen him in the cartoon where he's just a smile, a nose, and smiles? Right? If you want to finish him, we can, though. Want to finish him? All right. Okay, so we're going to add in the cheeks that surround this entire smile. To do that, we need to add in 2 more rainbows sitting right on top, very lightly. Place these on top of those smile lines. From the front, we need to bring these lines all the way over to his nose. So I'm going to have those sit right onto that horizontal guideline there. And just bring them right over to his nose. Now from the bottom, I'm going to give myself a mark just below his smile here. And that's where I'll connect these cheeks here. They'll go all the way around and wrap this entire smile into one complete shape. Now I've kept it nice and light so that I can make any adjustments if I have to. Now that I have this entire shape on my page, I'm just going to go throughout and lock this in. Find my favorite line there. Really make this stand out. I think I'm even going to give him a little bottom lip there. Alright, now for his hair. He has some crazy looking hair. It has a big part right in the center, and it's just kind of two tufts of hair go either direction. So to get that part in the center, we're going to add in this curved letter V that sits actually right above his eyebrows here. On our circle, I'm going to bring out that curved letter V with that point right on that vertical construction line. And I'm going to leave it alone for just now because over near his eyebrows, I have to give him these two little C-shaped curves, or these fish hooks. This will be the top of his hair here. And then he also has some tufts of hair that sit on top of his cheeks. So I'm bringing this line out on either side. Make this long fish hook here. And then starting at the end of those fish hooks is where I'm going to add in that hair. So I'm going to add in one, well, it looks like a blade of grass almost. He's got this one little tuft of hair here. And then I'll just go throughout and add in some more on top of those cheeks. Now, as for the tufts of hair on top of his head, we're going to do the exact same thing we did here. We had these little blades of grass for hair. We're going to go up to the top of his head and just continue on with that process. Just add in however many you want. Give him that really crazy looking hair. But he's missing something, right? What is he missing on the top of his head? He's missing his cat ears. Exactly. Now for those cat ears, we're going to start off with this very short curved number 11 that sits on either side of that vertical line. Just like that, nice and tall. And we're going to close them off with two more curved lines to create almost a point here at the tip. Cat ears always have a little point at the top there. Now right now they're kind of flat, so what we'll do is we'll add in a curved line on either side to show a fold in the ear. And to show some contrast in there, show that there's some shadow, I'm going to add in a little bit of shading on the inside. That'll give the impression that these ears are actually pointed towards each other, listening to something you might be saying. Now we're almost done with this cat. We have one last feature. Cats have whiskers, right? His kind of looked like a really weird mustache. So right below his nose, I'm going to darken in my vertical line just a little bit. And on either side, I'm going to add 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. And I think we have just finished our Cheshire cat. But we're missing a feature, right? What are we missing on our artwork? As artists?
Signature.
Your signature, exactly. So find a blank spot next to your silly looking cat and sign your name. Matter of fact, he got his name from Cheshire, England. That's actually where the author Lewis Carroll's from. Pretty interesting.